Alrighty, welcome back everyone to Phasmophobia. Hope you're all having a lovely day. We are going to cover Maple Lodge in today's hiding guide, the 10th part of this playlist. Maple Lodge is a map with a lot of options for hiding, even if most are disabled. There are also a lot of unique hiding spots on this map too, and we will cover as many as we can. As always, if you are entering a hiding spot, ensure that your equipment is turned off and that the ghost does not see you enter that hiding spot. Just like the other videos, there will be two parts, the first of which is an overview of the map with all of the hiding spots, and the second part is the gameplay. They are all time-stamped so you can skip ahead if you like, but without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so here we are on Maple Lodge, and as you can see, there is a lot going on, but as always, we will start off with the official spots, and we will work our way around. And right here is where we actually enter the campsite. And we do have a spot available right here. All it really is just one big divider right there, and you would just hide right about there. And that spot is pretty good for the most part. I haven't really died there at all, but given how big that hiding spot is, there is a possibility that the ghost can just walk inside of the hiding spot on its own. So keep that in mind. Next, we'll go to the staff area over here, and there are a couple of spots that I want to mention. And we'll start off with the porta potty over here. All you do is just close the door in on yourself, and you'll be pretty safe. And this just works like a closet or a locker. And then we have this spot over here, which is kind of interesting and weird at the same time. So what you would do is you just hide right here, and you would use it as a normal hiding spot, and the ghost would just walk in sometimes, and it'll either get you or you cleanse the ghost, and it will ping pong back and forth, and then it will just get you right there. Instead, what you want to do is you want to stand up in that spot and lure the ghost inside. And what that's going to do is it's going to force the ghost inside. You will cleanse the ghost, and then you will leave the hiding spot like this, and you'll just stand right about here, and congratulations, the ghost is now stuck. And the ghost is stuck right at this board here. And it will not be able to get to you. It will speed up with line of sight, but it will not be able to get to you. The only way for it to get you is if you walk this way, and it will be able to leave that board. So if you want to stay safe from the ghost, you want to stay on this half of the room, and the ghost will not be able to get you. Next, let's go to campsite A over here, and you do have 5 hiding spots available there. You have these tents here, and you can hide in them normally. You can just walk inside of them like this, and you can crouch and close the doors, and you'll be pretty safe for the most part. Or if you just want to stand inside of that hiding spot, then you can do so also. You just walk inside while standing, and it is considered a safe spot, and you can get a visual of the ghost as well. And then there's this spot over here where it's kind of set up like this, kind of, and there is a pretty big opening right there. And this spot is not the best because this kind of acts like the death barrels on Camp Woodwind. But there is one thing that saves this spot, and there is a tree just right there. The only reason why this spot is even viable is because of that tree. You would just hide behind the tree right there, and if the ghost goes into the hiding spot, you can kind of loop around if needed. But even then, this spot is not very safe. Over here, there is a spot behind this tent over here. You just walk inside like this, and then you'll just hide right there. You can even get a visual of the ghost as well. And you can check for any visual tells of the ghost, or you can check if it's throwing a lot from just that hiding spot. And then we will go to campsite B over here, and you do have more of these tents over here, which you can hide in. And they work just like these ones over here, except for this one. And we will get to that later. And then we will go over here, and there is like a little tarp that you can kind of hide behind right here, and you just squish yourself in that corner, and for the ghost to see you, it has to go like right here. So overall, I feel pretty safe in that spot. And then we have this spot over here, which is kind of iffy. It is set up kind of like this, and you do have 2 points of entry inside. You can either come in from the dock side, or you can come in through the table side. And that spot is, like I said, iffy. Reason why is because what tends to happen is the ghost will either path right here, and it will get line of sight of you over here, or it will walk all the way over here and get line of sight of you here, walk all the way around here, and then get you right there. So this spot is not a good hiding spot, but what it is good is a good shimmy spot. And how this is set up is you just go back and forth right about there, and the ghost will constantly path all the way back and forth right over here. And you can get a good visual of the ghost that way as well. Just keep in mind, if you are dealing with a crawling ghost, then it will be very difficult to loop and even get a visual of it. And then the last official hiding spot available is inside this cabin right here. This one is actually upstairs, just behind the stairs there. And basically how it works is, we'll just draw it out for you. Pretend this is the stairs over here. And we have a bed right here. And basically how this spot works is you hide right here, and the ghost will wander aimlessly inside the cabin here, either on the bottom floor or on the upper floor. And that's not always a good thing, because what happens is the ghost can just set a waypoint right here, go up the stairs all the way over here, and then get line of sight of you and then get you. So this spot here is not the safest. And then we will go into the unofficial hiding spots, and this is where things get interesting. We will start off with the entrance again, and we do have a shimmy spot available right here. You just kind of go left and right between this little pole over here, and it will force the ghost to go back and forth over here. Or you can just loop around this table here normally. This one I would not loop around because it will double back on you and will get you. But you can just shimmy right there. And then we'll go into the reception area over here, and you do have a couple of options inside. There is the desk over here where you can just crouch down and it will block line of sight. Just keep in mind that the ghost will randomly walk in here from time to time, and in that case, you would have to cleanse the ghost. You can also hide right there, and what you would do is you would just close the door in on yourself right there, and you'll be mostly safe for the most part. Just keep in mind, if the ghost is too fast, then it will slam into the door there and it will get you. Or if the ghost paths over here, then it will see you. But even if you're holding the door in on yourself, you'll be pretty safe. And this is the only full-size door, probably in this entire game, that you can do that. Because if you just hold a normal door in on yourself, then what happens is it will sense you through the door and it will get you. But this door seems to be the only one that kind of avoids that. And even if the ghost does sense you if you are holding the door, all you need to do is not hold it, and it will still block line of sight. And then let's go to the staff area over here, because there are a couple of interesting spots we'll cover. Let's start off with this one over here. Don't hide there, because what happens is there's a shelf right here, you hide right there, and if the ghost is going this way or this way, once it gets to about here, it will actually get line of sight of you through the shelf there, and it will get you. So if you need to hide and you're in this area over here, then you have all of these spots over here to choose from. And let's start off with this pile of logs over here, because this one is quite different. And normally what you would do is you would just crouch behind this pile of logs and hope that you're safe there. You don't even have to crouch. You can just stand in that hiding spot and it will block line of sight. Because all this really is one big invisible wall, and the ghost will not be able to see you through that invisible wall. You can throw an item through it to test it, and it just will not be able to see you through it. And that's how you can test it. But this spot here is not the safest, because sometimes the ghost will path in the spot randomly. And same thing with these spots over here. The ghost will path in here randomly from time to time, but right here, there are some propane tanks that you can hide behind, and you can get a good visual of the ghost over here. Just keep in mind, if the ghost gets too close to you, then it will see you. And then over here, there are some barrels that you can hide behind. They're not the safest, but you can hide there if you want. And then this spot over here is real interesting. because sometimes a generator will spawn right here, right beside this barrel. And if that does happen, this is one of the best hiding spots on the map, because all you do is hide behind the generator, and for the ghost to see you, it has to go all the way into your spot, and that does not happen often. However, if the generator is not there, then all that is there is a barrel, and you just move your player with the ghost accordingly. So if the ghost is going this way or this way, then you would just move your character this way, and vice versa. And then you can also loop around this box here, but it is not the safest looping spot because it is kind of compact and you don't always get a visual of the ghost either. So you do have to go purely based on sound. And then in campsite A over here, you do have a couple of tree hiding spots available. And all you would do is you just kind of loop around the tree, kind of similar to the barrel over here, and just move your player accordingly with the ghost. So if the ghost is going this way, you just move your character that way, and vice versa. Same thing over here. If the ghost is going this way, then you would just move your character this way. And then these tent hiding spots over here, you can close the doors in on yourself, and it will block line of sight. Just keep in mind, if the ghost gets close enough, like right here, then it will sense you holding the tent door shut on yourself. And then there's a food tent over here that is kind of set up like this. There is a table right there and another table right there. There's a bunch of boxes on top of it. And this one's okay. Sometimes the ghost will path inside though, so keep that in mind. Then we'll move to the bathrooms over here, and the stalls are not the safest places to be. In fact, if I need to hide in this area over here, I would just move elsewhere. Because what tends to happen is the ghost will path in here sometimes, and it will go back and forth a lot, and it will sometimes go inside of the stalls, and you have no reaction time to cleanse the ghost. So be very careful if you are hiding in the stalls there. All right, and then we will move on to campsite B over here, and there are some options available. You do have a divider over here that you can kind of hide behind, either right there, or there is a telephone pole available right here, and you can just hide behind that. Now, those spots are not the safest because what happens is the ghost can just walk inside sometimes, and it will see you either here or here. So if that's the case, then you are in a bit of danger and you will have to cleanse the ghost. And then we'll go to the black tent over here, and there is a safe spot available right there. And all you would do is just go to the very back, crouch, and what that would do is it would force the ghost to path over here, and then it'll go here, try to get you from there, but it can't. And therefore, you'll be pretty safe there. There is another tent over here that you can kind of close the doors in on yourself, but it's not the safest. And then we get to this tent over here. And this one is very interesting. But what happens is, if the ghost gets line of sight of you anywhere from here, or it comes in through there, all you need to do is open the tent door, go inside of the tent a little bit, and then the hunt immediately ends. Now, I have not tested this in multiplayer, but in single player, that's the case, and it is very bizarre. You can end cursed hunts immediately. You can have like 5-second hunts, all because you just go inside of this tent here. It doesn't matter if the spot is blocked or not, it works the same. This spot over here is another telephone pole that you can block line of sight. Just keep in mind, if the ghost gets too close, then you are in a bit of danger because you will have to move kind of quickly around it. And sometimes it will just walk right through the pole there. And then there's a chair over here, which you can also hide behind right there. This can also be used as a shimmy spot. And that didn't used to be the case. Before the 0.11 update, that used to be just a hiding spot. And now you can use it as a hiding spot or a shimmy spot. And we'll get a better visual of that there. And so that chair there is pretty solid. You can also loop the ghost around this totem here, and you can get a slight visual of it, but that looping spot is a little compact, so it can be a little tricky, especially when it's in the middle of the open there. There is also a tent available over here and right here. Just close the doors in on yourself, but they are not the safest because the ghost will either path from the reception area over here or from these tents over here. So be careful if you're hiding there. And then we get to the cabin area over here, and you do have some options available. You can hide behind this little tree here, and you can get a decent visual of the ghost. Just keep in mind, if the ghost gets too close, then you might be in a bit of danger. But essentially, the tree spots that we have throughout the map are just one big pillar. So even though you have some wide open areas in the tree, you can still kind of hide behind them because it's just one big collider. And I will show you that in the gameplay. And then we do have some looping spots over here, and they all vary in terms of how good they are. And this one I would not use, same with this one. But if you need to loop, then you can either use these two picnic tables here, or you can use that little divider there. In case you are wondering why there is a gap right here, it's because when there's an official hiding spot available, like this divider there, then it blocks that section off. But if the divider is gone, you can use that as a normal looping spot. Going towards the dock, and you can actually kind of hide behind this chair over here, but if the ghost does go on the dock here, then you're in a lot of danger, because if you choose to cleanse and stay, then there is a chance the ghost will come back. Or if you cleanse and run, then what will happen is your cleanse timer will run out and the ghost will chase you. And you might not have enough time to hide. So if you are hiding here, be careful. But otherwise, how this spot works is this spot here is just one big invisible wall. And same with right here. And because of the invisible walls that are present, the ghost can be right here, and you can see the ghost there, but the ghost can't see you. And so this spot can be pretty decent to get a visual, but like I said, if the ghost does go on the dock, you're in a lot of danger. Over here, we do have a looping spot available right at that divider, or you can use this spot here as a shimmy spot. You just shimmy between the log and the chair, and you can get a lot of information from the ghost. Sometimes it will overshoot and go over here, and in that case, you would just shimmy in reverse instead of right here. And then going up the stairs here, we do have a couple of options available. We do have a safe spot over here that you can hide in right there, and there is just one big collider right there, and the ghost will not be able to get you no matter what. And then we'll talk about these chairs right here. And these chairs are a little sketchy to work with, but once you master it, you can block line of sight with it. And I will show you how they work in the gameplay. But basically, they kind of work like this. If the ghost is going up in the cabin here, then you kind of move your character like this. Or if the ghost is going elsewhere, then you would just hide behind the chair there. It's because of how the collider is set up on the chairs. Same thing with this chair over here. If the ghost is all the way over here, then you just be at this part of the chair. But if the ghost is going this way, then you would move a bit this way. And again, these spots are pretty tough to master, so I don't expect new players to go out of the way to try those spots. Then we will go inside of the cabin here, and there is this spot here beside the couch on the main floor here, and we'll just pretend these are the stairs here. And basically what you would do is, if the ghost is coming down the stairs here, then your character should be positioned right there. However, if the ghost is coming in through the cabin here, then your character should be right here and then move with the ghost accordingly. And I will show you a much better representation in the gameplay, but this spot here can work if you are in a pinch. Just keep in mind, if the ghost does path here, then you will have to cleanse and run, or hope that the ghost doesn't come back. And because of that, this spot here is not the safest. And then this yellow spot right here is on the second floor. And what you would do is just hide behind the rocking chair there, and just hide right there. And the ghost will not be able to get line of sight of you. just keep in mind that the rocking chair is a little sketchy sometimes because the ghost does have an ability to walk right through that rocking chair. And so it is not the safest hiding spot. Otherwise, if the ghost was not able to walk through the rocking chair, then you would have a much better hiding spot. But now let's see how each of the hiding spots works in the gameplay. All right, so here we are on Maple Lodge, and we do have a hiding spot as soon as we walk into the map here, and it's just behind this little divider here. You just hide right here and you'll be relatively safe. And I haven't had many instances of me dying here, and overall I would feel pretty safe here. Next, we'll go into the staff area over here, and let's talk about this spot over here, because this one is weird. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to hide like right here, and you should be hidden from the ghost. However, there is something baffling about this hiding spot here. What sometimes happens is the ghost would enter this spot here, and it would force you to cleanse the ghost, which might sound like that's fine, but it's not. What happens is the ghost would ping pong back and forth between all of these spots here, and then eventually you'll just get wrecked by the ghost. So instead, what you would do is if the ghost comes into this spot here, you would cleanse the ghost and then leave right here. You stand right here, and the ghost will not be able to get you. If you have higher tiers of incense, this would be better, because this would lower the chances of the ghost just leaving through here. And this is kind of like a reverse safe spot, because the ghost is stuck here, and you're just standing out in the open here. So instead, I would not hide here. I would actually just lure the ghost inside, cleanse the ghost, leave, and then just stand right here. And then you'll be safe from the ghost. That being said, it's probably going to get patched. And then another official hiding spot is over here in this porta potty, and then you just go inside, close and hold the door shut, and you'll be pretty safe. And this just works like a locker or a closet. You'll be pretty safe as long as the ghost does not detect your electronics or your voice or whatever. Next, let's go to the left side over here, and you do have quite a few options available. You do have these little tents over here where you can just walk inside, close the door, and you can use it as a normal tent hiding spot. Just make sure your electronics are off as always. And I find that the ghost does not interact with these tent doors during a hunt, but if it does, for whatever reason, interact with these during a hunt, then just quickly close it, and you should be okay. Or if you want to use it as a safe spot, then you can just walk inside of the tent like this, and you'll be safe from the ghost. Just make sure that the spot is available when using this as a safe spot. And the same can be said for these tents here. You just walk in, close the door, or you can just walk in like this, and this tent as well. And then we have this spot over here, which is kind of interesting. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to hide like right here, and it should block line of sight. However, what tends to happen is the ghost likes to path inside of this spot, and it will get you right here. Now, what saves this spot from being absolutely useless is this tree right here. And what you would do is you just hide right here, behind this tree. And that blocks the entrance to this hiding spot. And even if the ghost does enter the spot right here, you can loop around the tree kind of like this, and it should block line of sight. We will come back to this tree later, because this tree is quite good. And then we have this tent over here, which you can hide behind, and this is actually a pretty decent hiding spot. Not only you can just hide back here, but you can also get a good visual of the ghost through this window here, and it would not be able to see you through it. And you can even see the ghost coming into the spot here, so if you are in danger and the ghost does go past this corner here, then you can cleanse the ghost. And then we will go to campsite B, and there are a lot of tent hiding spots available. And what you would do is you would just close the tent like this when you're inside of the tent, and you'll be pretty safe from the ghost. This just works like the campsite A tents over there. And the same can be said for this one. However, there is something interesting about this spot in particular. If the ghost gets line of sight of you and you enter this spot here, the ghost will end the hunt immediately. I am not sure if that is the case in multiplayer, so I cannot confirm that. However, if you are in single player and you go inside of this tent, even if it's blocked, the ghost will end its hunt immediately, which is weird. We also have another tent like this, and same thing. You can just walk into the spot like this, or you can crouch and enter and close the door like this. And same thing with this tent over here. And then we go to the cabin over here, and there is a spot over here that is actually pretty decent. So what you would do is you just kind of hide in this corner like this, and you might think, oh, you're in a lot of danger by doing this. But there's actually a pretty big collider right here. And this is just straight up and down. Just kind of like this. And for the ghost to see you, it would have to walk about here. And that's when you're going to be in a little bit of danger. But otherwise, this spot can be pretty decent. And then this little divider over here is not a great hiding spot, but it is a pretty good shimmy spot, and I will explain. What tends to happen is the ghost would either path this far in over here, get line of sight of you, and then get you, or what most commonly happens is the ghost would get line of sight of you right here, and then walk all the way around, and then get you in this spot right here. What makes this a good shimmy spot is you can squeeze through here and the ghost won't be able to get through here. All the ghost would do is go back and forth between this area and this area by just you going left and right over here. And that's the only thing that is saving the spot here. As long as you shimmy back and forth, then the ghost will not be able to get you. However, this spot can be a little sketchy if you're dealing with the child or any crawling ghost. Inside the cabin here, and there is one hiding spot available, and that is this railing over here. You just hide behind this railing and the ghost will not be able to see you through the railing because this is just one big collider. Now this spot is not the safest because what tends to happen inside the cabin is if the ghost is entering the cabin, then it will kind of just stay in the cabin and it will just go all over the place, up and down the stairs. And sometimes it will walk all the way down here, and then it will see you over here. So this isn't really the safest spot here. And that is it for the official hiding spots. Now let's see how the unofficial hiding spots perform. All right, and now onto the unofficial spots. And where do we hide now? Now, you do have quite a lot of options available here, and we will start off with the entrance here. You can loop around these picnic tables here, but this one in particular, you can use this area as a shimmy spot. And effectively what this is doing is, if the ghost is over here, then it will path over here, and then you just move your character over here, where it will go back over here, and then back and forth again. Whereas over here, this is just a normal looping spot. Then we will go into the reception building over here, and there are a couple of options available. What you can do is hide behind this desk over here while crouching, and the ghost will not be able to get you unless it goes into this area over here, which sometimes happens when the ghost is pathing through the reception. Another area in reception where you can hide in is actually behind this door. During my hiding guide, I have not shown door hiding at all, and that was on purpose. Because what happens is the ghost would normally detect you through a door, and it will get you. Whereas here, these doors are a bit different. What you would do is you would just hide behind here. You can even hold the door closed in on yourself, and the ghost will not be able to detect you unless it goes like inside of your spot or it goes into this corner here. So I'm not sure why this door is different, but it works, and I do have clips available. Next, let's go to the staff area over here, and you do have quite a few options available. And we will start off with this spot over here. I'm going to turn off the breaker for now, because what you would do is you would just hide behind this generator over here, and this can be a pretty good hiding spot. Now, this spot is not always here, and when that's the case, you only have this barrel over here, which you can use as a little bit of a looping spot. But if this generator is over here, you can hide behind here and you'll be pretty safe. And then you have these barrels over here, which is an okay hiding spot. It's not the best. Sometimes what happens is the ghost will path in here on its own, and it will get line of sight of you. But it does work if you are in need of a hiding spot. And same thing with this spot over here. This might not look like a hiding spot at all, but what you can do is just hide behind this propane tank over here, and you can get a decent visual of the ghost. However, if it gets too close, then you will have to cleanse the ghost. And this spot here kind of acts like the little cabinet on Edgefield in the main hallway, and it's because of how tall this collider is. Next, you can also loop here. You will have to crouch to block line of sight. However, this spot can be a little difficult to master since the ghost is always in like close proximity of you when you're looping it. So I'd really only loop here once and then cleanse and then go to a hiding spot. And then this spot over here is okay, but sometimes the ghost will path in here on its own and it will get you. But what makes this spot really interesting is you can stand up and you'll be perfectly safe. Even if you're right here, or if the ghost is by that generator over here, you can stand up and you can get a visual of it. The reason why is because this is just one big invisible wall, and the ghost will not be able to see you through it. And this can be a great spot to get a visual of the ghosts, like getting Obake shapeshifts or Oni blinks or whatever. But again, it's not the safest. Then we also have this spot here, which I do not recommend. And the reason why is because what tends to happen is the ghost will either walk that way or back over here, and it will get line of sight of you in the process. So this spot here is not safe. And then next, let's go to campsite A over here, and let's talk about this tree over here. And you might not think this is a hiding spot at all, but it can be a good one if you're in a pinch. And I will show you the reason why these trees are pretty good. All right, so I brought a bunch of motion sensors on me, and notice where I am placing them. Notice how some of them are floating kind of in mid-air. Notice how when I'm placing the motion sensor like this, it's just one big pillar. And that is big for this hiding spot because you can crouch or stand, doesn't matter. It will perform the same. And you can even get a visual of the ghost through this campsite over here. And if the ghost is coming over here, then you can loop around this tree accordingly. And the same can be said for this tree over here as well. And even though this barrier is gone, you can still hide behind this tree over here and loop around it, and you can be reasonably safe. And same thing, this is just one big pillar that you can loop around, and you can get a decent visual of the ghost as well. So if you are in need of a hiding spot, this tree is pretty good. And then these tents over here, you can close the tent doors in on yourself and it will block line of sight. Just keep in mind that if the ghost gets too close to you, then it will detect that you are holding the tent doors shut and it will try to get you. So if you are hiding in either of these tents over here, make sure you have incense on you in case the ghost paths into the tents over here. And if you had to choose one of these tents, I would choose the middle one because it blocks the most line of sight. Over here in the food tent is another hiding spot right here. And this is kind of similar to the food tent on Camp Woodwind. However, these coolers are always here. So for the ghost to get line of sight of you over top of this table over here, it would have to be pretty much right here. But even then, this is not the safest spot to hide in. Then we go to the bathrooms over here, and I don't really recommend hiding here at all, because at least with Camp Woodwind, you can hide pretty far back, and if you have an incense on you, you can cleanse the ghost with some level of reaction time. However, if the ghost does go into your stall, then you're pretty much dead. So be careful if you are hiding in these bathrooms here. And then we have this ladder over here, which is kind of weird. This is also just one big collider, and you can go under the ladder back and forth like this. Just keep in mind, if the ghost does get line of sight of you, then you are in a lot of trouble. But what you would do is, if the ghost is coming in from here and it's pathing to the other side there, then what you would do is you would just have your character like this and then move your character kind of like this until the ghost is over there. Or if the ghost is on that side wanting to go that way, then you would just do the same thing in reverse. And this can work if you are like really in a pinch, but this will take quite a bit of practice to master. And then same thing with these washrooms over here. These stalls are pretty dangerous to hide in since you don't really have reaction time if the ghost does go inside of this spot or in this stall over here. So I wouldn't really hide in the washrooms here on Maple. And then you do have this divider that's available at all times, and you can either hide like this or hide right here. Just keep in mind, if the ghost does path in here, then you might be in a bit of trouble. And then you do have more tents that you can kind of block yourself in. However, these tents are not the safest. But what is the safest is if you just go into this back corner over here, then if you have your electronics on, or if you're talking, then what tends to happen is the ghost will not be able to get you because this is a safe spot. And sometimes what happens is the ghost is going to try to get you from back here, and it just can't. So if you need a safe spot, then this is a good spot to be. And then you also have this telephone pole over here, which you can use to block line of sight a little bit. And if the ghost is all the way over there, you can just hide like this and it will block line of sight. Or if the ghost is coming in through here, then you can position your character like this. That being said, this is a lot easier to loop around if you're slower. Right now I am on 150 player speed, so it is kind of hard to demonstrate. But if you are on at most 100% speed, then you can loop around this relatively okay. But this is one of those spots that are hard to master. And then we have this spot over here, which is probably one of my favorite spots. And what you would do is you would just hide behind the chair like this. And if the ghost is coming from this side and going that way, then you just move your character kind of like that. Or if the ghost is coming from this side and it's going that way, then you just move your character like that. And if you don't want to do that, you can also use this as a shimmy spot. And this was just recently turned into a shimmy spot because of the player models getting bigger. So if you need a spot to hide in Campsite B, this is a pretty decent spot to be in. And then we have another tent over here, but just be careful when hiding here because even though this blocks all of the line of sight, if the ghost is coming from the reception area over here and pathing this way, then it can detect you holding this door shut. And then same thing with this tent over here. The ghost will tend to path in the tents here, and it can detect you holding the doors shut. You can also kind of loop around this totem over here. And this area here is solid in terms of colliders. The ghost will not be able to see you through these little cracks over here, but this looping spot can work if you are in a little bit of danger here. And then we are in this cabin area over here, and we do have another tree that you can kind of loop around. And this works just like the other trees. This is just one big pillar that you can hide behind, and you can loop around the tree to block line of sight and even get a visual of the ghost. Or if you just want to loop the ghost as is, you can just loop around this little divider over here, and you can be relatively safe from the ghost. This does block line of sight pretty well. This spot here, I would not recommend looping because what happens sometimes is the ghost likes to walk through all of this, whereas you have to go the long way around. And then this picnic table, you can loop around here normally. Just be careful when the ghost is on the other side of the bench here, it will see you over top of it. Same thing with this bench over here. You will block line of sight of the ghost from here and on this side if you're crouching, but if you're right here and the ghost is on the other side of the bench, then it will see you over top. And then I'll briefly mention this chair over here. And this one is kind of interesting because if the ghost is going back and forth between the cabin and the docks over there, you can kind of hide right here and the ghost will not be able to see you. And I can even throw a motion sensor up there and all the way up there. And even if the ghost is on the porch there, then it will not be able to see you over top. Just make sure you're positioning your character well, and you should be relatively okay. And if the ghost is pathing this way, then you can move your player accordingly. However, this spot can be difficult to master, so keep that in mind. And then here is another looping spot. It's not a great looping spot, but it is available if you choose to loop here. And then we have another shimmy spot over here, right by this log and chair. And what you would do is, if the ghost is over here, then you would move your character like this, and vice versa. And you would just shimmy the ghost like this. Sometimes the ghost will overshoot and come over here, and then you just do the same thing in reverse instead. Or if you just want to loop around the divider over here, you can also do that as well. And then onto the docks over here. And this spot is kind of different. And even though the ghost may be by the chairs over there, it will not be able to see you because this is just one big invisible wall. And because there's an invisible wall, the ghost will not be able to see you. However, this spot is not the safest because if the ghost does path onto the docks here, then you will be in quite a bit of trouble, even if you have incense on you. Because one, you cleanse and the ghost runs away, it might come back again. Or two, you cleanse and run away, but you don't really have enough time to get behind another object to hide behind. And you are in a bit of danger if you are in the spot and it does detect that you are here. So keep that in mind if you do choose to hide at the dock. Before we go into the cabin here, I want to talk about this chair over here. You can block line of sight kind of like this, and if the ghost is going in and out of the cabin there, you can position your character accordingly. And this is also another one of those spots that is difficult to master, and it's also easier on lower player speeds. And then we have this spot over here, which is another safe spot. I don't even know why this is a safe spot, or even how this became a safe spot. All I know is that it is one. And all you would do is you just squish yourself inside of here, and if you have your electronics on, or the ghost sees you, doesn't matter, you're safe. Ghost will not be able to get you. And that's because there is a random collider right there. Notice how I'm trying to place the motion sensor and it's just getting cut off right here. That's where the collider ends. And so you would be pretty safe here. Then we will go inside of the cabin here, and you don't really have a whole lot of options available, but I will mention a couple of spots. Let's talk about this couch over here. If the ghost is over in that corner over there in the cabin, then you can be over here. But if the ghost is about to path upstairs, then you will have to position your character kind of like this, and it will block line of sight. Sometimes the ghost will path over here, and at that point, you are in quite a bit of trouble. You'll either have to cleanse the ghost and run away, or cleanse the ghost and stay and hope the ghost doesn't come back. But either way, this spot can be a little tricky. Now we will go upstairs in the cabin, and we will talk about this rocking chair over here. This can be a good spot to block line of sight. However, there is a flaw with this spot, and this is one of those spots where the ghost can just walk right through it. So this spot can be pretty dangerous if you're dealing with a really fast ghost, or if the ghost chooses to path over into this corner over here. But it can block line of sight, and this will allow you to get a good visual of the ghost as well. If the ghost gets too close, then you can always cleanse the ghost, just like this. And that is it for Maple Lodge. Just like the other hiding guides, if you have any questions, feel free to post them down below and I will answer them as soon as I can. The next map we will cover is Point Hope, which can be quite sketchy during hunts, so stay tuned for that. That is all that I have for you for today. Hope that this was helpful and informative, and until then, I will see you next time.